Let's begin with a hard truth. If you're not managing what you already have, you're not ready for more. Financial stewardship isn't just a biblical principle, it's a divine requirement. And for many Christian entrepreneurs, this is the exact reason your business isn't growing financially. You pray for overflow, but mismanage what's already in your hand. You sow prayer, but reap confusion because your financial house is out of order. Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." That applies to business too. God is not going to fund chaos. Look at Joseph. Yes, the same Joseph who rose from the prison to the palace. When Pharaoh handed him control over Egypt's resources, Joseph didn't get excited and spend recklessly. He managed it with divine wisdom. He stored grain in seasons of plenty so that Egypt wouldn't starve during famine. Genesis 41:34-36. That's financial stewardship in action. Today, you've got access to tools like QuickBooks, Wave, FreshBooks, or even Google Sheets to keep track of income, expenses, and cash flow. If you're not using any of them, you're leaving the door wide open to financial leaks. And those leaks are what keep your business crawling when it should be soaring. Want to break the ceiling? Steward what you've been given. Don't just pray for clients. Track your money, review your statements, clean your books. Financial stewardship is spiritual warfare in disguise, because where there is order, there is blessing. Confusing revenue with wealth. You keep shouting about your business making six figures, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Revenue is not wealth. It's not even profit. If you're making N10 million and spending N9.8 million to do it, you're not wealthy. You're hustling backwards. Proverbs 13:11 warns us, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." So what does that mean for your business? It means if you're only focused on top-line numbers, revenue, sales, launch income, but not managing your profit margin, cash flow, and net worth, then you're setting yourself up for financial stagnation or collapse. Let's be clear, revenue makes noise, but profit builds legacy. That's why Joseph didn't just distribute grain, he controlled the storage. That's why the Proverbs 31 woman wasn't just importing fabrics, she was selling with profit, investing in vineyards, and managing her household finances with precision. Modern tools like Profit First Accounting, Xero, and even free dashboards in Tiller Money can show you real-time profit and cash flow visibility. Stop saying God will provide while bleeding your business dry. God is not impressed by loud numbers. He's looking for wise stewards who know the difference between show-off revenue and generational wealth. Do you? Because until you start focusing on what stays in your pocket, not just what passes through your hands, your business will keep spinning and never scaling. No business budget equals guaranteed waste. Let's not sugarcoat it. Running a business without a budget is like building without a blueprint, and then wondering why the roof leaks when the rain comes. Proverbs 21:5 gives us a powerful truth. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. A budget is a spiritual and practical plan. It's how you tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Yet far too many Christian entrepreneurs run their business on vibes and miracles. There's no monthly plan, no forecasting, no expense limits. Everything is by faith, and nothing is by design. But let me say this gently. That's not faith, that's financial negligence. Jesus said in Luke 14:28, "Which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost?" The same applies to building a business. If you're not counting, you're not building. You're gambling. You need to adopt zero-based budgeting or envelope systems for your business. Tools like EveryDollar, YNAB, You Need a Budget, or even Google Sheets budget templates can help you start small and scale wisely. You should know your monthly operating costs, your recurring subscriptions, your marketing and sales budgets, your emergency buffer for tough months. Remember this, what you fail to budget today, you will borrow for tomorrow, and that cycle is exactly what kills profitability. Faith doesn't cancel planning. In fact, budgeting is proof that you believe God will do His part, so you do yours. Over-spiritualizing the lack of growth. Let's confront one of the most dangerous patterns holding Christian entrepreneurs back: blaming spiritual timing for poor financial decisions. You say maybe it's not God's time, when in reality it's your financial mismanagement that's delaying the breakthrough. Let's be clear, God is not slow. 2 Peter 3:9 says, "The Lord is not slow in keeping His promise, as some understand slowness." Sometimes the delay isn't heaven's doing, it's a lack of structure on your end. You don't have a sales funnel, you don't review your profit margins, you don't have product clarity, but you keep praying for overflow. My friend, the manna fell in the wilderness, but once Israel entered the promised land, they had to work the land. Joshua 5:12. You want supernatural growth while refusing practical systems. Imagine if Joseph told Pharaoh, "We'll just pray through the famine." No. He built silos, crafted strategy, and stewarded Egypt through crisis. That's what mature kingdom entrepreneurs do. Sometimes your waiting season is actually a wasting season, and that's why you need discernment. Not every delay is divine. Some are simply dysfunction covered in scripture quotes. God is not withholding, you are underprepared. He won't pour new wine into old wineskins, Matthew 9:17. So if your financial structure can't handle the next level, God in His mercy will pause the blessing until your systems match your prayer life. Get this deep in your spirit. Supernatural growth still requires natural obedience. Obedience to budgeting, to planning, to using tools, and to mastering your business finances. You refuse to track your numbers. Here's the brutal truth: what you don't track, you can't trust. And many Christian entrepreneurs are operating businesses blindly, no idea what's coming in, what's going out, or what's silently bleeding their accounts. Proverbs 27:23 gives a divine instruction for entrepreneurs. Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. In Bible times, flocks were assets, business, livelihood, and God said to track them closely. So what's your excuse? You can't grow what you don't measure. You need to know what your actual monthly revenue is, what your biggest expenses are, your profit margin, your customer acquisition cost, your return on investment (ROI) for ads and marketing, how much you're spending on unnecessary tools or subscriptions. Tools like QuickBooks Self-Employed, Xero, Tiller Money, or even free options like Wave can help you track in real time. Combine this with Pocket Guard or Mint to monitor spending patterns, and suddenly you're no longer guessing, you're leading. Even Jesus said in Luke 16:2, "Give an account of your management." That includes your money. The kingdom is full of people asking for harvest with no idea where the last seed went. You're not being attacked, you're being sloppy. The devil didn't block your profit, you just didn't check your books. Tracking isn't about control, it's about clarity, and clarity produces confidence, and confidence fuels wise decisions. If you want to lead a business that honors God, you need to be able to stand before Him and say, "I counted the cost and I ruled well." Start tracking today. You're not paying yourself a salary. Let's be honest. If your business pays everyone but you, you're not running a business. You're running a donation center, and you, the founder, are the top donor. Far too many Christian entrepreneurs romanticize sacrificing for the business while quietly drowning in personal financial stress. You tell yourself you're reinvesting, but you're actually just enabling dysfunction. 1 Timothy 5:18 says, "The laborer is worthy of his wages." That includes you. Yes, you, the visionary, the strategist, the late-night hustler, you're laboring. So where's your wage? Joseph managed Pharaoh's economy and had access to royal provision. Lydia was a seller of purple and hosted Paul because she could afford to. Even Paul, who preached with passion, made tents to ensure he wasn't a burden. Kingdom entrepreneurship is not synonymous with self-imposed poverty. Here's the practical truth. You need to separate your business and personal finances. Set up 2 accounts. Use tools like QuickBooks Self-Employed or QuickFile to track income and pay yourself regularly, even if it's just a small amount at first. Some entrepreneurs use the profit-first method, dividing all income into preset percentages: operations, profit, taxes, and owner's pay. This builds discipline and ensures you're not operating on scraps. Why does this matter spiritually? Because it honors God when you operate your business with structure. And paying yourself isn't greed, it's order. It enables you to tithe, to sow, to invest, and to show up in your family and church life without the silent burden of burnout. If your business grows but you collapse, what was the point? Paying yourself protects your temple and your testimony. Your pricing doesn't match your purpose. Let's expose a silent killer of Christian businesses, undervaluing your work in the name of humility. You price your products or services so low, thinking you're being fair, but what you're really doing is strangling your growth. Let's be real. Discounting your value isn't Christ-like, it's counterproductive. The Proverbs 31 woman perceived that her merchandise was good. Proverbs 31:18. She didn't offer a buy one get 10 free discount to prove she was godly. She understood value. She operated in wisdom and worth. Undervaluing yourself is often rooted in fear. Fear that people won't pay, fear of being judged, fear of stepping into your authority. But listen carefully, if God gave you the skill, the idea, the solution, then price it with honor. Jesus didn't multiply the loaves and then say, take as much as you want forever. It's all free. Even he set boundaries. Kingdom does not mean free. Kingdom means impact with integrity. Here's what you must do. Conduct a value-based pricing assessment. Study market benchmarks. Calculate your cost of service plus margin. Factor in taxes, tithes, and reinvestment. Use tools like FreshBooks, HoneyBook, or Plutio to create pricing structures and proposals that reflect worth. You can't tithe off zero. You can't give generously from a broke place. If your prices don't support your calling, your business will break down under the weight of your assignment. Humility is not undercharging. It's confidence wrapped in grace. Price your purpose like it matters, because it does. You're starving your marketing funnel. Let's say it plainly. No one can buy from you if they don't know you exist. Many Christian entrepreneurs treat marketing like a dirty word, as if promoting your business is somehow unspiritual. But that's not biblical. It's bad theology and worse business. In Matthew 5:14-16, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others." That includes your God-given products and services. Your business is not meant to be hidden. It's meant to serve. But it can't serve if nobody sees it. Some of you are sitting on brilliant solutions while watching less qualified competitors win because they show up online, invest in ads, and build trust with their audience. And you're still waiting for referrals to fall from heaven. Even Paul, the greatest evangelist, wrote letters. He visited cities. He built networks. That was first century marketing, and it spread the gospel across continents. So what does your marketing strategy look like? Are you using email marketing tools like ConvertKit or MailerLite? Are you building an audience on platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube? Are you leveraging paid ads with Facebook Ads Manager or Google Ads to test your funnels? Use a CRM tool like HubSpot or Zoho CRM to track leads, nurture them, and build your community with intention. Because here's the truth. God can't bless what's invisible. You're praying for customers but hiding your light. Marketing isn't manipulation, it's multiplication. And if your funnel is empty, your finances will follow. shine strategically. Avoiding business financial tools. It's time to stop acting like spreadsheets alone will deliver your breakthrough. We're in 2025, and if you're not using the right financial tools to run your business, you're choosing struggle over stewardship. Think of King Uzziah in 2 Chronicles 26:15. It says, "His fame spread far and wide, for he was marvelously helped till he became strong." One key to that strength: he had skillful men who made devices for war. He used tools, he embraced innovation, but too many Christian entrepreneurs are still running their business on faith and notebooks. You're keeping receipts in shoeboxes. You're trying to calculate taxes with a calculator app and a prayer, and it shows. Let's change that. Here are tools that make you a wise builder, not a worn-out hustler. QuickBooks Online for full bookkeeping and payroll. Wave for free invoicing and accounting. Bench if you want hands-off monthly bookkeeping. HoneyBook or Dubsado to streamline client invoicing and contracts. Expensify or Zoho Expense for tracking business expenses. Stripe, PayPal, or Square for smooth payment collection. FreshBooks for freelancers who want user-friendly time tracking and invoicing. These tools aren't extra, they are essential. When you automate the repetitive, you free up capacity for what actually moves your business forward: sales, service, and strategy. Daniel didn't interpret dreams with a chalkboard and hope. He was skilled in all learning and literature of Babylon, Daniel 1:17. That's competence. That's kingdom excellence. That's what's missing when you avoid tools God has placed at your disposal. Stop praying for ease while clinging to outdated systems. Upgrade your toolbox, watch your growth multiply. You lack financial forecasting and planning. Let me ask you a confronting question. What does your next quarter look like? Not just spiritually, but financially, strategically, and structurally. If your answer is, "I don't know, I'm just trusting God," then that's not trust, that's avoidance. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Did you catch that? Plans. Not hopes, not guesses. Plans. One of the reasons your business isn't growing financially is because you're not forecasting. You have no idea how much income to expect, no clear plan for scaling expenses, no financial runway for growth or emergencies. You're walking in fog and calling it faith. But God is a planner. Just look at Noah. The ark wasn't built overnight. It was planned, measured, and executed over decades with specific dimensions and materials. That's divine forecasting. You must start building a monthly, quarterly, and annual business forecast. Use tools like Fathom or LivePlan for financial modeling, Google Sheets or Excel with templates for projections. Float for cash flow forecasting, synced with accounting tools, QuickBooks planning tool for budget to actuals comparison. Ask, how many sales do you expect next quarter? What's your burn rate? How much cash you spend per month? How will your costs scale with growth? Do you have enough reserves for a slow season? Don't run a reactive business that panics every time sales dip. Run a prophetic business, one that sees ahead, plans accordingly, and builds margin to absorb storms. Run a prophetic business, one that sees ahead, plans accordingly, and builds margin to absorb storms. God doesn't bless laziness masked as faith. He blesses diligence wrapped in expectation. And forecasting is where faith meets foresight. You're neglecting multiple streams. If your entire business income comes from one product, one client, or one revenue stream, you're on financial life support. You're one crisis away from collapse. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 2 gives this timeless wisdom. Divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what disaster may happen on the earth. That's not just poetic advice, it's divine risk management. Multiple streams aren't luxury, they're survival. Think of Jesus. His ministry wasn't one-dimensional. He healed the sick, taught the crowds, trained disciples, challenged systems. He multiplied loaves, turned water into wine, spoke in parables, and confronted principalities. His work had layers. Yours should too. So why are you building a business with just one way to earn? If you're a coach, can you add digital products? If you're a service provider, can you build a course? If you're selling physical goods, can you launch a subscription model or partner with affiliates? Can you monetize content through platforms like Gumroad, Teachable, Kajabi, or Patreon? Real-life Christian entrepreneurs like Strive Masiwa didn't build one company and stop. He created telecoms, invested in fintech, funded education platforms, and scaled with purpose. That's what kingdom scaling looks like. Even in the Bible, Lydia wasn't just a seller of purple. She ran a household, hosted apostles, and funded ministry. That's not hobby energy. That's entrepreneurial calling. Single streams are fragile. Multi-streams are fruitful. If you want your business to grow financially, you must begin thinking in layers, not just offerings. When one stream slows, another sustains you. That's wisdom. That's strategy. That's obedience to biblical abundance. You're withholding from God. This might sting, but hear it in love. Your business may not be growing financially because you're eating the seed meant for the altar. You pray for provision, yet withhold from the provider. You ask for more, but neglect the principle of return. Malachi 3:10 says, "Bring the full tithe into the storehouse and see if I will not open the windows of heaven." This is not a fundraising gimmick. It's a spiritual law of access. You tithe on your salary, but not your business. You give God a percentage of your personal income, but what about your business revenue, profits, and first fruits? Is the kingdom in your pricing, but absent from your giving? Let's revisit the widow of Zarephath, 1 Kings 17. She had just enough flour and oil for one last meal, but when she gave to the prophet first, her jar never ran dry. That's not prosperity doctrine, it's kingdom principle. God blesses what you surrender, not what you hoard. And tithing from your business is not optional if you're building for the kingdom. Want financial growth? Then sow with boldness. Give with expectation. Let your giving prophesy your next level. Here's how to start. Set a system. 10% of monthly net profit goes to your local church or kingdom work. Use tools like Givelify, Tithe.ly, or Planning Center Giving for consistency. Make generosity part of your business mission, not just your personal life. Modern entrepreneurs like David Green, Hobby Lobby, built billion-dollar companies on radical generosity. He didn't separate God from business. He invited God to rule it. If you want kingdom favor, honor kingdom order, and giving is that order. Let's get honest. How often do you sit down and ask, is this working? Not spiritually, but financially. If you're not reviewing your numbers monthly, you're not leading, you're reacting. Proverbs 24 verse 3-4 says, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures." Knowledge includes data. Reviews, insights, reflection. You think you need a bigger miracle, but what you really need is a better review. Are your products profitable? Is your pricing sustainable? Where are your leaks? What's your customer retention rate? These aren't random metrics, they are the pulse of your business. And once you review, you must reinvest. This is where many Christian entrepreneurs fall short. You withdraw everything or hoard profits instead of seeding your next level. Think of the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. The one who buried the talent lost it. The ones who multiplied theirs, rewarded. Why? Because increase follows investment. Here's how to shift. Use tools like Fathom, Zoho Analytics, or Google Looker Studio to generate monthly reports. Schedule quarterly business reviews. Look at revenue, expenses, growth, and customer data. Reinvest a percentage of profits into marketing, education, software, or staff. Use the profit first system to allocate for future investments without stress. Modern entrepreneurs like Lindsay Snyder of In and Out continually reinvested into quality and people. That's why their brand remains powerful and debt-free. If you don't pour back into the well, it runs dry. Your business needs more than faith, it needs fuel, and reinvestment is that fuel. You have a poverty or hustle spirit. Let's call it out. Some of you are operating your business with a poverty mindset dressed in hustle. You think grinding harder will fix your finances. You wear burnout like a badge, but your business isn't growing because your mind is still trapped in survival. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." You can't build kingdom wealth with a wilderness mentality. You can't scale if your default is, "There's never enough," or "I have to do everything myself," or worse, "I'm not worthy of success." That's not humility, that's a stronghold. There are two dangerous spirits at work here. The poverty spirit, always shrinking, always self-sabotaging, allergic to abundance. It says, charge less, expect less, stay small. The hustle spirit, always doing, never resting, idolizing effort over strategy. It says, if I just work harder, things will change. But the kingdom of God doesn't operate on hustle or fear. It operates on wisdom, obedience, and stewardship. Jesus withdrew to rest, prayed before action, and multiplied loaves, not by sweating harder, but by blessing what was already there. Break the cycle, get coaching, read books, listen to podcasts, invest in tools like Mindshift, Coach.me, or ThinkUp to retrain how you see yourself and your calling. Modern leaders like Craig Groeschel teach this often. You can't outgrow your business if you don't outgrow your mindset. It's time to think like a kingdom builder, not a struggling servant. You're not meant to survive entrepreneurship. You're meant to thrive, multiply, and become a blessing. You've prayed enough, now think higher, speak better, plan smarter. That's how breakthrough happens.